Fix that mic, man. You still sound far away.
Supersonic bitch, so come jump on this dick. My flow bionic spit, gon' get your ears wet. But player, fuck that script. This how about my shit get all up in your system and let me cause conflict. Let's reminisce back quick. Remember that first hit? How about them tracks we did? Nothing but that realness. This here that Medellin, you know what that mean? We take your clean cut team, turn them into fiends. When I speak song 16s, any other things, it's just like blessed these. Unfortunate little beans, it's only game on mine. Told you gang of times, every time I rhyme, y'all stare at me like I'm some type of alien. But then again, I am lyrical veteran. So much better when speakers they say turns up. The volume been on 10. The fuck I'm speaking about. We blow them speakers out.
Terminate your beaters and blow your speakers. We came in here to beat ya and blow your speakers. Eliminate that weak stuff and spit these heaters. Lost world movement is here to blow your speakers. Terminate your beaters and blow your speakers. Can't really beat ya to blow your speakers. Eliminate that weak stuff and turn the heaters. Lost world movement is here to blow your speakers. Speakers racking, people gasping for air. Breezy stopping, they stare. I'm leaning back like a player. Well, Cheetah slap. This heated rapping keeps attacking these squares, and Weezy's passion is rare. So peep my fashion and flair. The beast is smashing, heat blasting on your asses. Vocally rhyme smashing, totally mind thrashing. Focus like an assassin, so it's time for some action. No joke, cause I'm a savage. This black man from Sac does explosively high damage. My advantage is the fact I'm ferocious when I'm attacking. You want the title? We'll get broken down like a fraction. Erode away your cat. The end approaches so rapidly. Rapidly, I'm smashing these bastards, causing catastrophe. Massively, I'm standing conditioned to show no weakness. My lyric telekinesis, fling your door.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new season of Searching for More. And we will be able to answer all your comments and questions on our YouTube page. So if you have any questions during this live session with Toriano ObaShango-El, the Chief, the Thunder Man, we are really excited to have him here. And I'd like to introduce also, before we introduce our main guest, we'd like to thank Jamie and Stephanie in the studio as the engineer. Thank you, Jamie, for putting together the studio and this network, Wild Jones Network. You can check Wild Jones Network out. Has a lot of good information and entertainment there.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm really glad to be back.
It's been a while.
It has been many months, and I'm really excited that now we get, since we had the opportunity to take this little break to get Toriano on, because he was somebody that we talk about this Moorish paradigm stuff, and you've been with us for a while, asking good questions, arguing with the other brother who was on here at one time, and this brother Toriano today will be able to help answer a lot of those questions, because that's a brother who I pull a lot of my knowledge from.
I love it.
I want to get a plug out here. I gotta give a plug out to Jamie Jones right here. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. You see this CD, you see this DVD. This movie, One Night, is is going to chance everything. You know what I'm saying? It's all between us. Sorry, it's all between us. I'll read the back. It's all between us. You see that movie?
Yes.
This movie right here. Jamie Jones. Tell us about that, Jamie.
Yeah, since you see it right here on camera. Is that the camera they're looking at it on, Steflo? All Between Us, starring Tiffany Haddish and Brian Hooks and Denise Lawton and Esau McGraw. I made the movie. I executive produced it. I produced it, and I co-directed it with my friends. It's available at Walmart, Amazon Live, Hulu, everywhere. So yeah, go pick it out. That's what's been happening in the 2 months since the studio's been closed. I've actually had a movie come out in that time. Why'd you just unplug me?
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I don't know. There you go.
Everything.
You lost everything. He's saying my mic was fluffy or fuzzy, and so that's all. Is that better, Toriano? He was just texting me that, and I want to make sure that he got me straight. And I apologize, Jamie. It was I saw that thing wasn't all the way in, and I automatically assumed to push that thing in, and I'll stop messing with your stuff. But that was interesting. How'd you get her on the show, man? How'd you do that? Before we get Toriano, how did we get her? How'd you put that together, man? A brother like you created a whole movie that's in Target, it's in Walmart.
Oh, I'm sorry. I decided for about 3 years ago that I was making music videos in L.A., and I was living in L.A. for 14 years before I moved back to SAC. And I worked in TV and film. I was directing and producing commercials and music videos and things like that, and I decided I wanted to make a movie. So to make a long story less long, I found a script. I found the money, and then I went and casted it, and I found a then not as known Tiffany Haddish in a nightclub off shout out to my man Esau McGraw, who said you should go look at Tiffany Haddish for this role. She is dope, and I think she'd be dope. So I went and saw her at the Comedy Store the next night, and she was the truth. I did not know she would be what she is now, but she was the truth when I met her, and I'm very glad she is what she is now, because
she blew up.
It helped make my movie sell and get. I made this movie on a shoestring budget. It was the first one I made, and to have it out less than 5% and the budget I had actually sells. So I'm very proud of it.
Dope.
Check it out, All Between Us on DVD at Amazon, at Hulu, at all your Walmarts, and yeah, go pick it up. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, man. We can't, man. That's something I always wanted to do, is become a movie producer. Doing something productive, and you get to live your dreams out, and you did something that manifested, that's being sold in Target and Walmarts across the nation. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we've been waiting for the Chief, Toriano ObaShango-El. Welcome to our show. We have the wrong title on our show, Response to White Hate, but nonetheless, we were talking about, in this Moorish paradigm, Toriano, the reason why I want to have this show is because a lot of brothers tell us that we are Moors only from Africa, and that all black people come from Africa, and that we are not indigenous. And even we had a brother that recently separated from, telling us that the red flag, the flag with the star, is BS, and that that's a French protectorate star, but the red flag by itself is the main star, is the main flag. So with also that, we also want to touch into the basis of what's the difference between being indigenous Moor, being indigenous American versus a Native American. So we have a big pot of stew that you could just stir on up, my brother. And so I'll give you the floor, my man, and welcome to the show. Toriano, you there? I can hear you bustling, Toriano. So we might have a little bit of something with the phone that Toriano might be missing out there. Are you there, Toriano?
Hello.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah, you just need to put that mic closer to your phone, man. You still doing that Charlie Brown, man. Sounding all muffled. You hunting for the Great Pumpkin or something?
Yeah, wah, 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 wah. But how about now, Toriano? Is this a little more clear for you?
No, man. Put that thing to your mouth, man, like that girl.
Hey, don't be saying that. Hey, whoa, right there. You know, not no girl. But how about now? What, right now? So either way.
How about me? Are you hearing me the same way, or is it just his microphone?
Yeah, I just want to be able to hear the questions clear, so that way, man, we won't be, what you say, I want to be able to hear it clear.
So can you hear him clearly?
Can you hear me? Or
I hear you.
Is it both? So it's just that microphone?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, you still kind of sound a little far away, but I can hear you clear.
Copy that.
Okay, we are getting the microphone fixed out right now. Okay, we're turning the volume up on the keyboard. Is that clear there?
I don't know. Maybe it's just your boys, bro. I don't know. But it needs to be clear,
Copy that. All right, well, we'll get it taken care of, and we'll call you right back.
No, just go.
Hold on.
Can you go?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just ask him. Just tell him go. You want to respond?
Yeah.
We're gonna try a different microphone. How about that, Toriano? Does that work for you?
Yeah, you got to speak up, brother. You just got to speak up, man.
How about
Yeah,
now?
this ain't no speak music club, bro. You have to speak up. This ain't the radio. It's calling to speak up, man.
Okay, how about now? Is that clearer?
Yeah, right there.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and talk like this. All right, Toriano, we have a whole bunch of individuals out here. We got to clarify some things. Thank you for your patience, audience, as we get this going. New studio, new things. I'll be tripping on wires, so it's my fault. So what we have, Toriano, and I'm really glad that you have us, that you taking the time to come on the show. There's some confusion about the Moorish flag, it being a red flag is our indigenous flag, as well, and the star flag being the French protectorate, as well as some Moors just saying that we're only from Africa, that we're not indigenous to the Americas, as well as the topic of being what's the difference between indigenous American and versus a Native American. And I know that you are well versed in this, so I'm going to let you have the floor and ask you questions along the way. So we could start with the first one. Now, there are Moors out there that are saying that this flag with the star on it is just a flag that is a French protectorate, and the flag that has just a plain red flag is our original flag. You want to touch on that real quick?
Well, basically, man, if you go and do your history, the red flag, the solid red flag, it was before the green star, the one with the green star on it.
Yes.
That is a fact. That's a historical fact. But if you go and do your homework on the red flag with the green star, Moulay Yusuf came up with that flag, man. And just do your homework on who Moulay Yusuf was. He was the current Sultan of Morocco at the time. And that flag was his design. He even goes into it and breaks down the design and what the green Suleiman actually stands for. So that flag came about, I want to say, around about 1915. And the French didn't design that flag. That was his design. You can just go and do your own homework on it. Yeah, Moulay Yusuf.
Moulay
And the
Yusuf.
red flag, yeah, but prior to that, the solid red flag was the flag that was actually flown over here. You can read about it, the flag that was flown at Fort Duncan, where there were Moors and quote-unquote Indians, but they actually all were Moors, were down there fighting the United States. I think it was underneath the presidency of Andrew Jackson. And the U.S. troops said that they saw the solid red flag and they saw the Union Jack. The Union Jack is the British flag. Those were the, not Fort Duncan, excuse me, Fort Negro. Yeah, Fort
Right.
Negro. And they said that those were the two flags that were flying, side by side or with each other. The solid red one and the Union Jack. And those two flags actually go all the way back to the various treaties, because I think Morocco had made 2 treaties with Great Britain. One of them was in 1751. I know that for a fact. And I have that information in OneDrive. I just don't know by heart which book it's in, but it is in there, though. I have those treaties.
In the ObaShango-El.com. Okay. And so now with that flag, what was the treaties that was established with the red flag versus the flag with the star, and why? And you said, Yusuf put that star on there. Does that change any significance as who we are and how we function, and how did that change history?
Well, first and foremost, if you read the treaty, I mean, this is quite evident, man. Some of the things that these people be coming up with, man, is pure foolishness, man. If you read the treaty, it starts out, Bismi Allah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, or in the name of God, the merciful, the clement. Now, once they invoked Allah into their treaty, that meant that they was under the statutes, codes, and laws of the Most High, as the Hebrew Israelite brothers say, man. About the statutes of Yah.
Yes,
So,
sir.
If you know anything about the Quran tells you, man, that it honors all of the prophets in their works. You follow what I'm saying? So,
Yes, sir.
in that treaty, if they're invoking the Most High, now follow me on this. They're invoking the Most High into that treaty. And the Europeans acknowledged it. Because first and foremost, the treaty was actually a grant. And you can learn that from the Economicus book by the magnificent Prince Kabir Uriel Bey.
Yes.
One of the 3 books that he put out called Economicus. Treaty was actually written in the form of a grant, according to Ambassador Barclay. He says that the 1836 treaty was a grant. So that made the empire the grantors. The United States were the grantees, so you had to have a beneficiary, and we're the beneficiaries of it. So when you invoke the Most High into that treaty, you're invoking the laws, codes, and statutes of the Mosaic Code, statutes of the Most High, all of that into that treaty. Now you bring it under an ecclesiastical review or spiritual review. So now what happens is, if you look at what it says, the law says about landmarks in the Bible, and if you look at Surah 22, Ayah 65, he is not that Allah gives you the entire world and all the ships that sail at sea. And it tells you in Deuteronomy chapter 19:14, chapter 27, verse 17, Proverbs 22:28, and Proverbs 23:10. Once landmarks and boundary stones have been placed, you cannot move them.
Right.
And the first one that actually did a claim on the land was the Moors, or they were known as the Mari, also known as the Phoenician or the Phoenicians, which later became the Carthaginians, which later became the Punic Iberians, which later became Moroccan Empire, because all of that was founded by Canaanites. This is historically true. This is historically written. You got to do your homework. So it doesn't matter if the flag went from a solid red to a flag that had a green star on it. The empire was already tied, and it's tied according to the Quran, and it's tied according to the Bible. There you have it.
There you have it. And there's also a landmark that you've taught me that's on the other side of this ocean pointing to this place.
Slow down more. You sounding muffled again. Put that thing to your mouth, man. Do something, brother. Come on now. Work with me now.
I'm working with you, man. Our audience can see. Okay, yes, most definitely, my man. So there is also a landmark that distinguishes this land from the other side of this ocean.
Well, actually, there's really no distinction because it's an annexation.
Annexation. Thank you.
It's an annexation. And you're talking about the Born Stone laid by Hanno the Navigator up in Kwamasakumkani, what they call Cape Cod Bay today. And it says in Punic Iberian, a proclamation of annexation. Do not deface. With this, Hanno takes possession. And he annexed the entire Americas from Alaska all the way down to Chile, Argentina, all in that area, and the islands in between, and brought it to the empire of the East. So when it's an annexation, it's one land. Geographically, it's two different lands, but jurisdiction and land patent wise, the water doesn't separate anything. It's a verified, irrefutable claim.
Okay. So we have a question that has popped up on YouTube. We have a question here. It says, what tribe is he representing? Does this tribe have a treaty between the United States? We already covered that question. What tribe are you representing is what the question that one of the viewers have.
Say what again?
What tribe are you representing is one of the questions our viewers has. His name is Action and Results.
What tribe am I representing?
Yes.
Number one, I go by my maternal lineage and the lineages of my mother and father. The various tribes that run in my vein is Inde, what they call Nadine, Apache, Wishashaktoon, Washita, Aniunwi, Cherokee, Choctaw, what they call Choctaw, and Chickasaw, what they call Chickasaw. There's two things when you're talking about tribes. You're looking from a Usanguinus perspective and a Usoli perspective. The annexation was done under Usoli. See, most of these people that's talking this tribal stuff,
I have no idea what they're talking about.
I wish I could really be me on this call, but I'm going to try my best.
No, you be you on this call. That's why we called you, to be you up on this call. So be you, brother, please, 100.
Man, I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
There you go.
Because they have absolutely no damn clue about international law. First and foremost, Usoli deals with the law of soil. The law of soil is governed by empires, like Rome, for example. When Rome had expanded its borders up to what they call Britannia, later became known as Britain, Gallia, which later became known as France, Hispania, which later became known as Portugal and Spain, all the way over to Romania, down into the northern portion of the Arabian Peninsula and North Africa. All of that was under Rome. They called that Rome. That was the Roman Empire. That was under what they call the law of soil, Usoli. Now, when you go and look at Yeshua HaMashiach, or what they quote-unquote misnomer Jesus, he came specifically for a people, specifically for a birthright. The birthright was the lost people of the house of Israel, to remind them that, man, look, Rome had their law, we have our law, we are Israelites. Never forget that. So now you're talking about Usanguinus, the law of blood, from which he descends. Two totally different things.
Yes.
Under the law of soil, his birth within that geographical claim, he was Roman. Under the law of blood, he was a Moabite Israelite.
Moabite Israelite. Canaanite. And that supersedes the law of soil, correct?
Yes, bloodline, as far as Aboriginal claim, it does. But when you're dealing with when you're dealing with the Usoli, the law of soil, that's like a first claim, and anybody else who's not from this area trying to come over here, they have to recognize that prior claim.
Okay.
So your Usanguinus does not change. Usoli can change at any time.
It sure
If you
can,
change
because
it
those are just the laws that govern the daily interactions, or just the organization that governs the daily doings. Let's just say, for the layman's terms. But the law of soil is who has the birthrights to the land and who should be actually functioning in the Jusoli.
No. The law of blood, you have the birthright to the land. As far as the empire,
I switched that back up. Yeah.
Whoever made the first claim, and the Canaanite Phoenicians, which later became known. See, what we're doing is we're getting names construed as different people. Just because you go by a different name does not mean your blood changed. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You got a lot of people that think like this. Just like tribes. Tribes does not separate the blood. Just because I have these different cultures running in my veins does not separate the blood. There is no tribe on this planet that has, because they are a tribe, a specific blood. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. That's almost like saying, well, my big toe is Cherokee, my left ear is Choctaw, my big right toe is Paw Monkey. No, idiot. Look at your DNA chain, and not only that, if you look into the haplogroups, most of these tribes, man, share the same haplogroups,
yes,
and also share the same autosome. This is what I mean by these people not doing their homework and studying. Tribes do not dictate the blood. Culture dictates the tribes.
That's what's up. So now let's go ahead and get into, when we're talking about these tribes, Josanguinus, upon here, this soil, this land that we're in, what is the difference between the indigenous Americans and the Native Americans? Because what we see on TV, also we know is is whitewashed. But what we see is, we also see these Mongoloids that are over here. Are they Chinese? Are they Mongoloids? And where there are black people, quote unquote, black people over here as Indians. And what is that confusion? And is there a difference between indigenous Americans and Native Americans?
Okay. Here's the deal. I'm going to walk you through a timeline.
There we go.
Okay.
I like stories. Here we go.
All right. If you go east in Tennessee, East Tennessee, and also in Ohio, primarily Tennessee, you have the Pygmy Skull Burial Site. You've heard me espouse this shit 1,000 times.
Man.
I've done it on my video. 40,000 years ago, that's what they found, that people were dwelling there. The little short people. They call, quote unquote, misnomer Pygmy. All right. About 226 miles southeast from there, you have the Topper Site. At 51,300 years of digging at a level, or an archaeological level of 51,300 years, they found that there was human activity at this site. Okay? All right. You go out west in California, you have the Texas Street Site. Human activity, about 80 to 90,000 years. There's another site in California where they found, looks like humans were hunting woolly mammoths. Human activity there, about 130,000 years. The Topper Site, not Topper Site, but the Calico Site in California, about 200,000 years. Come on down to Mexico, the Huaylaco Site, about 250,000 years, human activity.
250,000 years?
About 250,000 years.
Man.
Yes. It went through four different test methods. 4 different test methods that they do with archaeology.
Man.
And the site showed, each test method showed approximately about 250,000, give or take 10,000 years, somewhere up in there. Come on down to South America. You have the Cerro de Capivara Site. Dr. Ndeguidon says it looks like it had human activity up to about 100,000 years ago. Toca de Esperanza Site, human activity about 300,000 years ago. And then you go on down to, that's in Brazil, go on down to Argentina. You have the Miramar archaeological finds down there, and they found human remains, which Dr. What is his name? Florentino Amagino. And there was another doctor, I can't remember his name, but you can get this information in the Hidden History of the Human Race, as well as Forbidden Archaeology, Michael Cremo and Richard Thompson. They said that you're looking at 3 to 5 million years ago, and they found anatomically modern human remains.
Just click on stuff.
And they was also finding that the animals that these people were hunting back then, with different spear points and stuff caught in the bones when they was hunting for their food. So, if you look at science today, and you look at genetics, just with the chromosomes, or what they call HER2, OCA2, SLC2485, SLC4582, and MCR1, these are the various chromosomes that cause the mutation of pale skin, light eyes, red or blonde hair, in European. Pale skin, I think OCA2, HER2 is what made the Asians pale skin. Prior to that, there were no light-skinned people that existed.
Hold on. There was no light-skinned people that existed at all. Zero.
Nope.
Man.
Mutations. You can look up Dr. Keith Chain, geneticist at Pitt University, and Dr. Luigi Luca Cavalli-Sforza, Professor Emeritus, geneticist at Stanford University. Go and do your homework on them.
So what you're saying, man, hold on, man. You're a little too controversial for many out there. You might be blowing people's minds. It almost sounds as if you're saying that the Americas are older than Africa.
Well, first and foremost, they were only saying, you got to understand that was, what's his name, Charles Darwin and all these various other people that put this back then. You got to understand that there's agendas in place, man, to keep what they call, quote unquote, we know what the word white is. We ain't got to go into that, the legality of it and all that type of stuff, free white person.
Yeah,
we ain't even on that.
Nah.
But what I'm saying is there are and were agendas put in place to maintain what Charles Darwin and Huxley and his cohorts were saying, that man began in Africa, supposedly from the great apes, and that they evolved to what they call the epitome of the human race, which is, quote unquote, the so-called white man, the so-called white woman. And Negroes, quote unquote, misnomer, are closer to the foundation of evolution from the great apes. Anybody can see, man, that that's a biased, imperialist, white supremacist ideology. When there's other evidence that's popping up around the globe, there's a problem. Something's wrong. And there have been so many. These are just a few of the finds I'm telling you about. Man, there are tons of other finds. There are tons of other finds that show that evidence is out there to dispute that. But if you bring forth that you want to keep getting funded in your archaeological digs, you shut up.
You shut up. So
you
basically,
you want to come out with that award-winning book about your digs and get funding? You shut up. You still want your position at these universities? You shut up.
So you're basically saying that they are creating a whole bunch of a whole false pseudoscience and around these archaeological digs, and they are pretty much doing that to claim our estate. Is that would that be reasonable to say?
I didn't hear that last part.
They're doing all of that just so why would they make all this stuff up? What would be their benefit to make all this stuff up?
Because you got to understand, man, they're trying to keep a paradigm going. They're trying to keep an ideology going and a mindset going. So therefore, they have to control the information in order to maintain their premise of power.
What would change? What would change then if everybody knew this stuff? So what? What would change then?
What would change? number one, first and foremost, who's the true owners of the Americas? That's number one.
Number one.
And so what? So therefore, we would function under Jusanguinus, not Jusoli. And based on those treaties, what you're saying, based on treaties and based on bloodline, we would be able to function differently as a people if we were.
Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. Knowledge brings power. And not only that, you have to understand, the box of the Negro was created. The box of the black was created. The box of the Indian was created. The box of the African American was created. The game was rigged from the start when they created the boxes and put all the terms, conditions, stipulations, and agreements within those boxes. So when you agreed to the contents of the box, you became an article of the box.
And when did they create those damn boxes, man? Can you point to a specific period of time? Because I know there's people on here who are on your level, but there's also people on here who are coming new to searching for more, and that's why they come here, because we get the newbies coming in and we try to grasp up high. We lock arms with those like you who are our brothers that lock in step, who's been down this line.
Brother,
what's
brother,
up?
Get closer to the mic. You was closer earlier and you was sounding crystal clear.
Crystal, baby. How about now?
Back in the chair, getting comfortable.
No, man, you ain't watching the video, man. Come on, Tio, you ain't watching the video, man. I'm over here spitting in the microphone like I'm Drake. But what specific period in time did they create these boxes, and what caused that motion to go forward?
Okay, these various boxes were really created, man, around about the time of the papacy's rise to power, shortly before the Moors lost power in Europe. You're looking at around about 1441, 1452, papal bulls. Well, first, let's take it back even further than that. Look at the papal bull known as the Unum Sanctum.
Unum Sanctum.
Unum Sanctum is Latin. One church, one holiness, one church. Unum, Latin, one. Sanctum, holy. One holiness, one church, one body. And what was said was, if you are not within the body of Christ, they created a trust. They created a world trust, and they placed everybody inside this trust who acknowledged, quote unquote, Jesus Christ or Jesus Christos. Remember, the concept of Jesus Christ was created at the Nicene Council around about 323 AD, 325 AD, when they decided they was going to weaponize Christianity. Jesus Christ is not the same as Yeshua HaMashiach.
Come on, man. Hold on, man. Whoa. You're going to blow somebody's socks off. Jesus Christ is not the same as Yeshua HaMashiach. All right.
No. Jesus Christ was created after Ptolemy Soter. One of the Greek rulers that sat on the throne of Kemet when Kemet was in this decline, or layman's term, when Egypt was in this decline. He was a Ptolemite. So all actuality, Christians are not Christians, they're Ptolemites. They worship Ptolemy Soter. That concept was brought into the Nicene Council right about 323, 325 AD. And so, with that, they began what was called iconoclasm. Iconoclasm extended all the way up to the Renaissance era of Europe. That's when anything that showed Yeshua being a brother with an afro and the 12 disciples being brothers with afros was destroyed and torn down. Statues destroyed and torn down. They started to Hellenize everything. With the Greco-Roman concept honoring the Greek usurper who sat on the throne of Egypt known as Ptolemy.
Yes. And from there,
So,
go ahead.
So from there, now you get the popes, because you got to understand, the Vatican was the first church was actually a Moorish establishment. St. Peter was the first pope. It said, upon you, Peter, we say, I give you the keys, and upon you, Peter, I shall build my church. You're the rock upon which I'm going to build my church.
It did say that.
All the popes.
And then right after that, though, he did say, get behind me, Satan.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on, brother, please let me finish.
Oh, sorry, brother.
That's why you see all the popes today bowing down and kissing the feet of the black St. Peter. Now, of course, I use black in the common vernacular. We're not talking about the legal aspects of it.
Gotcha.
Just, dialoguing for the common vernacular of the people. That's why they bow down and kiss the black St. Peter's feet. That's why they worship the black Madonna and Child. And even here in Arkansas at Mount Subiaco, they have a monastery of, I think there might be Benedictine. I think they're Benedictine monks. At that church, they have this huge golden statue, and it's beautiful too, don't get me wrong, of Jesus hanging on the cross, Ptolemy Soter. The image that you're used to seeing today of hanging on the cross. But they go in secret. The monks got a private prayer room, and it's done. The colors are red, black, green, and gold, and they worship and they bow down to that Moorish Madonna and Child, a nappy head Moorish woman holding a nappy head Moorish baby. And they pray to that. But they give the people the Ptolemite. You follow what I'm saying?
I am following what you're saying. Yeah.
They give their own Europeans the Ptolemite, but they keep the truth for themselves. So what I'm trying to tell you is, when the Unum Sanctum Papal Bull came about, it placed the entire globe into a trust. And it said that if you did not, basically, you were not in the fold of Christ, break it down so you can understand, worshiping Ptolemy Soter, you were outside of God's kingdom.
Hold on. That's huge. That's why it's important to accept the blood of Christ, because if you accept the blood of Christ, you cut off your indigenous rights and indigenous heritage, and you accept their blood of Christ. You accept their bloodline.
And you've been placed into the trust as res, a thing, an article, a trust asset, yes.
Wow. So it's very important, everybody, you recognize when you accept Jesus Christ by the blood of the Lamb, you automatically take on their bloodline, because in the Bible even talks about how important bloodlines are. Jesus had a bloodline. Abraham had a bloodline. Everybody got a bloodline, but you ain't got a bloodline because you got to accept his bloodline. I had to make you pointed out something that was very important there, brother. I had to highlight that feature right quick.
Now, there are other papal bulls that came successively after that. One of them is the Dum Diversus. I'm not going to go through these bulls. Y'all
just go ahead.
Your homework. The Dum Diversus, the Romanus Pontifex, I think it's called the Eternus Regis, and the Indicaterra Divina. The Indicaterra Divina is what supported the doctrine of discovery.
I'm with you.
And when they called you Indian, these people got to understand what this means. And the Dum Diversus, or the Romanus Pontifex, one of those two bulls, I think it's the Dum Diversus. They said the Pope had gave power to Spain and Portugal. I think Portugal. To go, when you go into these new lands, to conquer the Saracen and the heathen, are those without God, and you are to reduce them to perpetual servitude. Take everything away from them and put them to the sword if they do not convert. In Latin, a heathen is known as what they call sine Dios. Latin, sine means without. Dios means God. Sine Dios. Sine Dios. In Spanish, it became los sin Dios. Those without God. Los Indios. Los Indios. And later, Indios. Go and do the phonetics and study Latin. It's right there.
Woo! And so from there, so from there, that's how we got the doctrine of discovery.
Yes, and Indian.
Now,
Upon our head.
can you tell me this? Okay, now I've recently, not recently, but I have been under the understanding in some kind of damn standing about Virginia taking the blood rights of Pocahontas and the United States eventually having to turn around the Racial Integrity Act. Are they the ones that Virginia company is the primary source or the primary leg or route towards the United States corporation? And are you? I know you're familiar with that. Could you expound upon that a little bit about how they were able to classify everybody as Negro, colored, and black and Indian within and so forth?
Well, I heard about the thing dealing with Pocahontas and the mixed blood, and basically they stole the rights to the land through mixture, and supposedly they dumped her overboard overseas. I heard about all of that. Do I know that to be historical fact where I can go and put my hands on it, tangible, actual recording where I can read it myself in black and white? No, I don't. I just heard about it. I don't deal with that. If I can't verify it myself, it's just hearsay.
No, that's real. That's real.
I look at it according to the eyes of the law.
I like that. Because many people, I know how many times I caught myself wanting to know, wish I could have the answer, and making up some shit along the way, and it'd be wrong. I've learned not to do that. That's pretty wise of you, T.O., but I know there's something, I've heard of something like that in the Racial Integrity Act, and that's why I was hoping that you could expound upon that. But let's get back to the Inca Cateras, the Pabas Bulls coming over here, and how there's a difference between the indigenous Americans and the Native Americans, and how does that function, and how do they function differently? Are there different treaties within all that? Can you go ahead and speak up on that, my brother?
Okay, stop right there. Let's go back to archaeology and anthropology. If you study Konstantin Rafinesky, if you study, and these are books that was written in the 1800s. If you look at Arnoldus Montanus, that was written in the 1600s. If you study anthropologist D.E. Quatrefages, around about the 1800s, his books, most of these the letters of the 5 letters of Cortez. A lot of this stuff I got in the OneDrive. It's in the historical reads and historical readings folder and other documents.
So say that. Okay, we already showed your website right there. So go ahead and tell us what folders we can find this information again on ObaShango-El. We already put your website on the screen.
What is his name? He came to North Carolina. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. But he traveled up the East Coast. He said, there's these people wrote it down what they saw. They said that the people that we call Indians are actually Negroes. Even David McRitchie, Ancient and Modern Britons.
Okay, yes.
Volume 1, page 375. He's talking about up there in New England, about what was written about the quote-unquote Indians, that these was what they call so-called quote-unquote black people. So most of these people wrote, even down in Brazil, and what they call Indians were what we call African Americans, Afro-Panamanians, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Cubans, these various misnomers, Afro-Mexicans. Today, these were the true indigenous people. They were dark in hue. Some stocky, tall, robust, some short, dwarf-like, but some had, wavy texture of hair. Some had, more coarse, kinky hair. You know what I'm saying? but they were unmistakably, and this was from here to the West Coast. All you gotta do is go to the historical read folder and read some of the old books I got. From here to the West Coast, you know, this land was what they call, quote unquote, as what's my man's name? He wrote the book Estudios Arqueológicos y Etnográficos tomo 1 y tomo 2.
Sí, señor.
Archaeology and Ethnography, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Yeah, Book 1 and Book 2. Dr. Carlos Hierro Marquez. He said, you know, what all these other people were saying. He wrote these in the 1920s, that in the beginning, America was a Negro continent. And the Negro is the autochthon of the Americas, on which the Red Indian was subsequently formed, meaning that what they call the Red Indian came out of us. So
whoa. Hold on now. You saying the Red Indian came out of us?
Yes, I'm finna explain it to you.
Okay, brother. You got some explaining to do right here, man. Come on, man.
If we are the autochthon of the Americas, and you had various other migrations coming over here from Siberia, from later on during Imperial China, when China ruled the seas, China made ships, man, that were so huge. They made the Nina Pinta and Santa Maria, man, look like lifeboats. And they were hell of a navigators. When they came over and they started mixing with us, not only that, the Australian, what they call the Australian Aborigines, they had come over here in times of antiquity. The Melanesian, the Papuan, the ancient Indonesian, the ancient Orengasli, Malay, Orengasli Malay, and the Eta, the little people of the Philippines, Malaysia, and Southeast Asia. When these people started coming over here, it would be naive of us, and then we can't forget Africa. When Kemet was coming over here, the Canaanite Phoenicians was coming over here, the Senegambians were coming over here, the Malians were coming over here.
Yes, we have a lot of Go ahead, sorry.
This was a hodgepodge or a melting pot long before, you know, the Chinese and them started coming over here. Now you got to keep in mind, if we go back through genetics, they say around about 8,000, maybe about 10,000, 8,000, 10,000 years ago, that's when the Chinese started to lose their pigmentation. The genes, the DNA started to mutate. And not only that, they have a higher percentage of not Mongoloid, but Neanderthal admixture. They have a much higher percentage of Neanderthal admixture. So when these people started to lose pigmentation, that don't necessarily mean that they lost the technology and the ingenuity and the creativity of their forebears.
Not at all. Not at all.
So, you know, they're able to navigate the seas. Sea navigation is nothing new. They have evidence of that, and I have that in the OneDrive too, of islands off the coast of Indonesia that you could only get to by boat. These islands have been separated from the mainland for millions of years, and it shows hunting on some of those islands as old as about 900,000 years ago.
900,000 years ago. Damn.
Yes. Sea travel is nothing new. They found it on an island off the coast of Crete. That some of those archaeological Crete has been an island for about 5 million years. You could read this in Dr. David Imhotep's book. And I went and looked up the article myself of the works of some of the archaeologists. Some of the tools were related to an era of about 130,000 years ago, some upwards of about 700,000 years ago. But Crete has been an island for 5 million years. So what does this tell you? Sea travel, man, sea navigation is nothing new. So when these people started to come over here, it would be naive of us to think that there was not intermixing going on.
Right.
And by the time the paler populations of the human family started coming over here, that's what created the Red Indian, or what they call the Red Indian. And they're basically a fixed mulatto race. Not only that, they became even lighter during the incursions of the Europeans, which bleached out even whatever tawny melanin they may have had and made them even lighter. But some of them still carried the Mongoloid phenotype. Some of them carried, you know, the Paleo-American Aborigine phenotype. You know, genetics is funny like that. But the Native American, would he be indigenous? In order for him to be indigenous, he has to carry our bloodline in there somewhere. Some of them do.
Yeah.
Some of them are a mixture of when the Chinese came over. You can go read a book called The Asiatic Fathers of America. You can go and read it. I don't have it in the OneDrive. You can look it up.
Asiatic Forefathers of America, or Asiatic Fathers of America.
No, the Asiatic Fathers of
Sorry.
America.
Okay. It's in the OneDrive, y'all.
No, that's not in the OneDrive.
Oh, you's not. I lied.
Yeah. So some of them came over, and they stayed to themselves, and they became mixed with Europeans. Whereas some of the darker tribes, like the Shoshone, the Crow, let me see, the original Apache, or Ndine, they were very, 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 very dark. You got to keep in mind, the Proto-Mongoloid was dark. He was very dark. Before they started losing their melanin, a lot of the Asiatics, Siberians, Mongolians, all of those people started coming over here. The only thing that differentiated them from the Paleo-American Aborigine was the phenotype. For example, brachycephalic skulls versus dolichocephalic skulls. Dolichocephalic is long head. Brachycephalic is short head. Wider cheekbones. Wider facial structure. You follow what I'm saying?
100.
I add mixture between the two, but the melanin did not dissipate. Why? Because you have two dark-skinned individuals that's reproducing their offspring. Only thing that may have changed a little bit was the phenotype, the bone structure, hair texture, things of that nature. But the melanin content was still there. And from there, it just became successive migration. That's it.
So let me ask you. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Finish that thought. I'm going to have a question after you're done. Okay, brother?
Yeah. But now, fast forward to the late 1800s, the Ellis Island period. The United States did the same thing as Brazil. They said that the Americas was too black. And I'm saying that, of course, just for common vernacular. So they opened up the borders and flooded this place with Europeans with one condition. They had to go out west and kill and hunt Indians. They had already pretty much subdued us in the South, the American Aborigine. They started that onslaught with us early. Round about the 1500s and the 1600s. From the 1500s, 1600s, all the way to the 1700s, early 1800s, man. Their campaign to reduce us and eradicate our numbers was way relentless.
Wow.
So now we've been subjugated here in the South, and not only that, a lot of us were mixed in. You know, they were taking our women, creating offspring, reclassifying us in their system. You know, this is the whole genocidal campaign. Around about the 1800s, as they started to expand westwards, you know, from California, 1849,
Yes.
all the way up to the 1870s and 1880s when they threw the doors open for Ellis Island. Man, those people came over here with the promise of land, but you got to kill the Indian to get it. And those were still a lot of the darker, melanated peoples. They came over from Asia, who had been over here since time immemorial, plus admixture of some of the light-skinned Asians from Imperial China when China was coming over here. You know, people think, the problem is this. People think that you just come over here one way and you stay. No. You go back and forth.
Right,
Nothing
right.
new.
Exactly. That's why you got indigenous E1B1As and E1B1Bs over here and all that. And that which they try to classify over there as well.
Well, that's a different story.
It's a different story.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk. We'll deal with that more. Let's just stick with the history now.
All right.
Because you asked me about the Native American, the American Aborigines.
yes, sir.
All right. The Native American today has been classified strictly off of phenotype. Most of these people, the Ellis Islanders who came over here, who didn't have a place to go, who weren't able to go out there and kill, the melanated Mongoloid phenotype Asiatic for the land, there was a welfare system set up. They let these people steal what was supposed to be for you. And so these people were able to pay to get registered. They're 100% European, and they get thrown on the dolls rolls, and they're getting benefits that are set up for the American Aborigines. Not only American Aborigines, the original dark-skinned Asiatic Mongoloid that had come over here too. Not before us. He came after us. Because the oldest skulls that they find are the ones they classify as the Negroid or the so-called African-American phenotype skulls. The brachycephalic skull types can come in later to maybe about 11, maybe at the most 12,000 years ago. At the most.
So the Olmecs, what are they?
The Olmecs, look at the statues.
There you go.
Look at the head.
I'm just giving people examples. Yes.
Yeah. Look at the statues. Not only that, go and research, man, some of the skeletons they found down there.
Giants.
Phenotypically Negroid. So, going back to what I was saying.
Yes, sir.
These people that they call Native American today, a vast majority of them are what they call $5 Indians. Those who paid a premium to get registered on these lists to steal your benefits. And when you do your homework on them, they neither contain the autosomal DNA of the American Aborigine or our Mongoloid Asiatic kinsmen, nor do they come out of those haplogroups. It's theft. It's theft.
And that was
they're the ones
that was right after Abraham Lincoln's Indian Removal Act. Yes?
No.
That was
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, it was Andrew Jackson. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. And he wasn't Abraham Lincoln wasn't squeaky clean either.
No, he wasn't.
No, he went up there, man, and killed a lot of the original dark-skinned Asiatics up there in the Dakotas and Wisconsin and all of that type of stuff. He had two wars going on. He had the Civil War in the South, and he also had the war with the dark-skinned Asiatics up in the Dakota territories and the Wisconsin and Minnesota and all of those areas. So he actually had two. That was his silent, private little war. So he wasn't squeaky clean too. Yeah, fighting a war on two fronts. So, with that being said, that is the difference. The Native American is a political construct this day and time, whereas the American Aborigine is not within the folds of that political construct. The American Aborigine existed before the political construct known as Indian, known as Native American, known as American Indian, known as the United States, known as 13 colonies, known as the Virginia Company and all these other type companies. Nah. When you talk about us, you better take us all the way down to Argentina. You better take us up through Mexico. You better take us out to California. You better take us over to South Carolina. You better take us up to Tennessee. Now, if we're talking 40,000 years ago, along with the pygmy skulls, and the brachiocephalic skull type is quite recent, along with the mutations of the light skin, what does that tell you that was here in the Americas?
Negroids.
Thank you. All right, next question.
So people often will say that the Olmecs came into the Americas about what, 1000 BCE, or before the Common Era. How did they mix in with the people that were already here and so forth? How are those individuals, how do they mix in with the indigenous tribes? Are they indigenous? Are they native? What's the role of the Olmecs as far as what you understand and in their culture and their history?
Well, let's look at it like this, okay? I'm going to say it again. If you come from somewhere else and your mother's from here, okay, how can you say, well, my big toe is Carthaginian, my big right toe is Carthaginian, and my big left toe is Peruvian, or you know what I'm saying, or Incan, or whatever. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm stepping in one pot and stepping in the other.
That is the dumbest. Can you literally go in your body and separate your genetics of where they all come from?
Nah, not that I know of, man. This all runs through the same,
Okay.
all my blood.
Okay. Stop right there. Okay. Now, follow me on this.
Nah, we don't need that question.
If you carry the indigenous blood, what does that make you?
Indigenous, brother. Indigenous.
Thank you. So, now, was there influence coming in from other places? Sure it was. You can look at the pyramids of Indonesia and the Mayan culture, as well as the structures of the Mayan culture and over there, man, in Barat, ancient Barat. Let me speak in the vernacular of the people so they know what I'm talking about.
Spell it out, baby. Spell it out.
What's known as India today. Go and look at the architecture over there. Go and look at the architecture of Indonesia, and go and look at the architecture of the Mayans.
So how? Go ahead. Finish that point. Drive that home, man.
Cultural diffusion. So whether they came from the west, from the east, I mean, to me that doesn't matter. When I look at those statues, I see me.
Yes.
And we do know that they was here long enough, if they came from somewhere else to where they mixed with the first inhabitants. Let's not be stupid. Let's not be foolish. I mean, I be on Facebook, man, and it's to the point. I see some of these people, man, that they literally, in their minds, this is retarded. You act like these people didn't come over here and screw.
No, they stuck to their own, man. They only attracted to their own, man. They don't be looking at anybody else, man. They married and they all missionaries and all proper and everything. They stuck to their own.
They act like these people didn't come over here, man, and mix. That's what people have been doing for thousands, for tens to hundreds of thousands of years, man.
Slapping skins and making treaties with that way too. You know what I'm saying? Combining cultures, combining people, building nations.
Yeah. So, where they came from somewhere else, or from right here, majority, put it this way, there had to have already been a population. So let's just be honest. Let's just look at it like this. We know that the Phoenicians dealt with a dye called can't think of the name of that purple dye they deal with. It came from shellfish.
Yes, it's the same. It's the same shellfish that they make tzitzits out of, that the Hebrews were supposed to be using out of the shells, and also the Egyptians use it too. I forgot the name of the mollusks that they use.
Yeah,
Yes.
they got the color purple from it.
Yes, exactly, brother.
Yeah. All right. There's another shellfish over here in the Americas that they said, because some of those Olmec heads, you know, according to Dr. Ivan von Serban and one of his archaeologists that was doing the homework on the Olmec heads, some of those heads were dyed in purple. They had a purplish tinge to them. When you look at some of the Mayan words, they have a Hebrew or Hebraic phonology to them. Or what they call a Hebraic or Hebrew phonology. A Canaanite phonology.
Canaanite, there we go. Let's stick with the Canaanite because, you know, Hebrew, I mean, I really believe Hebrew is a construct of Greek. But go ahead.
Yeah, they have a Canaanite phonology to them.
Thank you.
How does this happen? Here in the Americas.
And as a matter of fact, my brother, I'm pretty sure you're more than aware that when William Penn was over here screwing the brothers over, that he came across a tribe of indigenous people, and that the Jewish individuals that he had in his company could articulate or could communicate with these individuals through a similar dialect because of what these native indigenous Moors over here, Americans over here. So, you know what I mean? So I think is there a connection with that? I mean, I might be jumping ship a little bit. There's got to be, I know Joseph Ruffinesque from Peabody Museum, who you referenced earlier, there's got to be a connection with the Mormons and some of their history as well, and being in the Americas and some of their history. I haven't studied Mormonism. I have some friends that are Mormonists, and I listened to some of their stuff. I'm like, hey, man, that's some of our stuff over here. They're jacking that.
Man, listen. Listen to me, okay? Chief Warhorse down in Louisiana said that when her grandfather prayed, he's a Choctaw man, said she remember when he prayed, it sounded like what they call the Hebrew. I say it for common vernacular Hebrew tongue. Yes, they found not only that, the Chitimacha language is down in Louisiana. A lot of the phonologists, linguists said that it contained elements of ancient Egyptian, which we know as Medu-Netia. So, not only that, if you go down into Mexico, they have the Temple of the Ankh. When you fly over with a helicopter, it's shaped just like the Egyptian Ankh. And they said built by the Aztecs. No, this is what you call, okay, let's look at it. Language, style of dress, foods, rituals, ceremonies, holy days, architecture. These are just some of the various elements and components of what makes up culture. Okay? Culture and the differences between various cultures, is what creates nations and tribes. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes.
Nations and tribes. These people, especially a lot of these Facebook people, I've been studying this stuff over 30 years. A lot of these people think that tribe is a bloodline.
No, that's a political organization or a family organization. What is that, man? What is that? Is that a corporation? What is it? What is a tribe?
Individuals make up families.
There we go.
Families come together and form clans. Clans come together and form tribes. Tribes come together and form nations. Nations come together and form empires. It is a socio-political structure.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Is there, okay, if you're done with that point, I have another question unless you're going to go further on that question. What are you on?
Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, there are many, many, many people I see that are trying to claim that South America is where the Bible comes from, and Jerusalem is one of the cities of South America. I forgot I had the city on top of my head. It's a lost city where it goes really high. I forgot. It was like a lost city. But people try to claim that when the Hebrews try to claim when the people crossed over, they crossed over from America into Africa or into over there, and that the Atlantic was that place where they crossed over, which also I want to get into the big earthquake which caused the ocean and so forth. And you know what I mean? I want to get into that a little bit as well. Are you familiar with that at all? That statement people saying?
Yes, I am. Let's take a look at language.
All right, brother.
Hebrew came from Canaanite, right?
It is. It
Okay.
is.
All right.
The graphemes, I think it comes from Greek. But go ahead.
All right. Canaanite came from what they call the Shemitic tongues. It came from what they call Akkadian Sumerian. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Those languages are older. Akkadian, Sumerian, those various dialects. They call those Shemitic tongues. Am I right or wrong?
You're right. You're right.
Okay. Historically, we know that ancient India, the Tamils, had connection with Sumer, Elamites. Elamite is a Shemitic tongue too, right?
Yes, it is. There is no
Okay.
Semitic. Well, actually, it's Hamitic. All of it is classified as Hamitic, which they also classify as Afro-Asiatic. And the Semitic really doesn't have its own. It doesn't have its own language. It's adopted from the
Okay.
Hamitic.
We're just talking for dialogue purposes.
Okay.
For common
Okay.
vernacular purposes.
All right. All
I know
right.
about the Afro-Asiatic.
All right, man. I'm
Just follow
sorry.
me where I'm in.
Sorry,
Follow me
man.
where I'm going.
I'm going with you, man. Let's travel.
Okay. Historically, it's known that the Tamils had dealings with the Elamites, the Akkadians, and the Sumerians. Okay? Now, oral tradition-wise, and I talked to I dialogue with a brother who's from India. He's been giving me a lot of Tamil history. Follow me on this. Tamil, spoken as a language, not written. Written is more recent. But spoken as a language, quite possibly is older than Akkadian, Sumerian, and Elamite. Now, we know who the Tamils were. That's our family down there in southern India. Southern India, the Tamil people. All right? Now, follow me where I'm going with this. If it's older, spoken as a language, then the written forms of Akkadian, Sumerian, Elamite, which later brought forth Canaanite dialect, which later came forth with we're still talking about dark-skinned, melanated peoples. We're still talking about dark-skinned, melanated peoples in these lands I'm mentioning. Which later came forth the Hebrew. All right. How is it that supposedly the Hebrews came from South America and supposedly traveled and went east when the dialects are older in the east and shows a progressive movement going west? Are you understanding what I'm saying?
1,000.
A lot of these people better get into the phonology and the dialects. That's what they're missing. You better start dealing with the tongues. Because Brother Clyde Ahmed Winters, and I never throw the baby out with the bathwater. I research and get knowledge from everywhere.
Man, I've been trying to communicate with him for a while, but go ahead.
Yeah, he was called in on the Fuente Magna Bowl It was a bowl that was found in, I think, the Lake Titicaca area of South America, and it looked like it was written in what they call Proto-Elamite. And the bowl, I think, is maybe about 5,000 years old. You know, he was brought in to do translation on that. But once again, that's Elamite found down in Lake Titicaca. Okay. Now follow me on this. They have proof now with African tribes, various tribes in Africa, in Cameroon, and recently another man, I want to say maybe in Mali, or I posted a video on it, Mali or one of the West African countries. You know, Cameroon is West Africa too, but it's not on the back, the rounded aspects of Africa. It's right next door to Nigeria. But they found a tribe in Cameroon that speaks Tamil. Okay? This other guy, this elder who said from his chief, he said that the chief told him we used to live in India. We're not from Africa. We lived in India thousands of years before we came to Africa. We migrated to Africa. I think this guy's out of Senegal or Mali or somewhere there. And this Indian brother, or the Hindustani brother, who's been rotating with Kenyans, said he got a call from one of the tribes in Kenya that said, yes, we came out of India. We came and settled in Kenya. So, once again, that Tamil language comes up. So,
dang.
Does that mean that there were not Phoenician, Canaanite, Hebrews, and what they call Peru and all that? No, it does not. Does it show that their origins is somewhere else? Strongly shows that. Remember, they found Phoenician writing in Uruguay. This stuff is popping up all over the place.
Hey, man, my grandparents, the European side of myself, from a matrilineal side, in Klamath Falls, they have Greek and I don't know about Phoenician, but they have Kemetic writing in Klamath Falls on the West Coast out here, man.
They have what?
Kemetic writings.
Bruh, listen.
That's crazy. In the West Coast out here.
Yes. The West Coast. Not only that, Cartouche of King Tut was found in Idaho. Not only that, you got Ogham, which is another form of Punic Iberian, because we know the ancient Irish, the original Irish, were quote-unquote black people too.
Yes, they were.
I talked to a woman from Scotland. Oh, no. I talked to a woman from Scotland one time, back in like 2004. And I asked her, is it true that black people were in the British Isles, Scotland, Ireland, and England before the whites got there? You know what the lady told me? Now, this was a Caucasian woman from Scotland. You know what she told me?
Hell yeah.
She said, of course, the legends are all true. Blacks were in the British Isles long before us whites got there. That's what she said.
Hey, for real though, I was dealing with this European, two Europeans. They're way cool, you know, Scottish, Irish-looking individuals, husband and wife, and they're Scottish rights, and they were saying the same thing. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
What you're looking at is the recent population of these areas within the last maybe 5,000 years, 4,000 years, you know, even 3,000 years of the pale-skinned European populating these areas. You know, even Baden-Baden, the Black Forest in Germany, we was all up through those areas with the original Europeans. You follow what I'm saying? What you're looking at is the mutation of the human genome, which remove pigment from the skin, the hair, and the eyes. That offspring of that going into these areas and populating these areas within the last 3,000 to 5,000 years.
Mm.
So, back to what I was saying. If you got an invader coming in, and sea travel is hundreds of thousands of years old, what are you going to do? If you're overran, you're going to flee for your life.
Yes. And make treaties with other people.
So that's how you got Punic writing over here, Punic Iberian writing. Not just from, trade and commerce and colonization, but also through your land's getting overrun. You understand what I'm saying? That's why you got Celtic Arkham over here. Not just from trade and commerce, but your land's getting overrun. You flee for your life. You take up your family and you leave. And we've been traveling the globe so long, we know where there are different safe havens at. Even the Cherokee, what they call the Cherokee, the Unwi or Salagi, which is part of my maternal father's lineage, my mother's father's lineage. Even the Cherokee and they lore say that when they got here, when they came to this land, they said the land was inhabited by giants and by dwarfs.
Mm.
By dwarfs.
Giants and dwarfs.
Eastern Tennessee is what? That's Cherokee stomping grounds.
Yes,
What's
it
in
is.
Eastern Tennessee? What's in Eastern Tennessee? The Pygmy Skulls. And they said that there were reports as late as 1000 BC where they saw these people, where people were writing about what they saw, these little dwarfs.
Yes. Yes, and they also there's a book called Mound Robbers or Mound Robbers or something like that. I just ordered the book, and it talks about that they were when they were doing excavations that you were speaking of. Are you familiar with that book? Is that a good book to reference when it comes to some of the Kemetic mounds that were here?
I haven't even heard of that book, brother. I don't know anything about it.
Let me look that shit up.
People just got to do their homework.
Do your homework.
Yeah, let's
stay
on the topic.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now
that's
are we clear on the American Aborigine and the Native, or what they call the Native American today?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
The book was called Looting Superior Mounds. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, we're the mound builders as well too. Yes, that is a fact. But what other questions you may have? Go ahead.
Oh no, man. I mean, we had a brother. There was a person who was posting some live questions, but you've been running through the questions and he's asking questions. I don't think he's listening. So Ross Evans is in my family. Yamasei. That's what's up, Ross Evans. Giving props out there for tuning in and writing something. There's a brother over here talking about action and results. It goes back to we've answered all these questions. This brother's answered every single question possible.
I have one question that sorry, this is Jamie Jones here. It's been a pleasure listening to you for the last hour and a half. Gained a lot of good knowledge. I just have a question that goes besides the point, but I do ask a lot of the scholars because a lot of times we get into the issues and what we're fighting for. But I always like to, before I let you get out of here, I would like to ask you what's beautiful to you about being a Moor? What makes you smile when you think about the Moors? What are the beautiful things that give you pride and enjoyment out of being a Moor?
Well, I'm gonna tell you how I came into the Moorish paradigm. Because I was raised by my great grandmother. She's transcended now. Woman of iron, Odessa Yancey. She was the first person that taught me that I wasn't black. I was born in 1970. Okay, and she's the first person that told me, "You're not black. Stop saying it. Quit calling yourself that." She said, Now, of course, she called me another misnomer, but at her age and when she was born, I charged that to the game. She was born like 1911, 1913, somewhere in there. So she would call us Indians. She said, we black Indian, we the original Indians. Is what she would say. She'd say, that's when she would watch TV, she'd say, that's the white man playing Indian. She made sure that I understood who I was. I knew my tribes, because not only was she alive when I was born, her mother, my great-great-grandmother, was alive, and made sure before she passed, I was about 6 years old, that I knew who I was.
Articles that might pop up and people could look at.
Right.
We are the Indians, and not only that, Mama was Apache. Great-great-grandma Liza was Apache. Papa, her husband, was Choctaw, what they call Choctaw.
Right.
So they made sure that I knew from the history on that part of my lineage who I was on this land. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So this whole time, I'm carrying forth that knowledge. In the 70s and 80s, growing up in the 80s and 70s, it wasn't cool to identify with anything else but being black. If you came forward, saying that you was Indian, that was frowned upon. Our people looked at that as trying to be something other than you not.
Mm-hmm.
But see, these were people, great-great-grandma Liza was born around about 1880. So you see how old this history was that I was getting born in 1970?
Yes, sir.
So, with that right there, me carrying that knowledge forward, I kind of fell into the public enemy, fight the power, the red, black, and green movement, man. And when I go over my great-grandmother's house, by that time, great-great-grandma Liza she'd already passed.
Right.
I was a teenager then, about 19. And, she keep reminding me, you're not black. Why is you wearing that medallion thing or whatever that is around your neck? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, that, of course, that was the phase back in the late 80s up to the early 90s. Eventually I moved on through that phase, moved out of that phase, went back to being comfortable with my true roots. Because like I said, this woman was in my life from 1970 to 2000, to the year 2000.
Right.
She was there when I was born. I was the first grandchild of the family. So,
Mm-hmm.
she made sure, man, she infused me with the knowledge and history of who I was.
Right.
Along with her mother, my great-great-grandma, Liza, her mother,
Right.
So, I heard of the Moors paradigm around about 1998 with Malachi York. And when I had done my history on some of the stuff he was saying, I do remember doing history prior to him about Con Mansa Musa, and, he just confirmed a lot of my stuff, plus he added on to some things, but it really just didn't hit me that really had anything to do with me. I heard of Taj Tariq Bey around about 2005, and, I liked what he was saying, but I still couldn't see how this pertained to me.
Right.
So I'm still holding on to my identity that's given to me by my great-grandmother. Okay. I went down to Dominican Republic in the spring of 2007. I was down there on some spiritual business with my at that time my Dominican girlfriend, and I enjoyed myself, man. Learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The family we were staying with, Doña Gladys, I used to call her Mama Gladys. Mama Gladys had her daughter and her grandchildren, Henry and Catherine, staying with her. So Catherine was around about maybe 12. So I was sitting outside one day, and Catherine had come in from school. It was just a beautiful day in Dominican Republic in Barcelona, and I was just outside enjoying the weather. So she spoke to me in, Spanish and English, and I spoke back to her in Spanish and English. And she said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm sitting outside enjoying the weather." She said, "Okay, let me go put my backpack up, and when I come back outside, I'm going to sit with you." I said, "Okay, Kathleen." So, our town was the talk of the town. Everybody knew I was from, quote unquote, the United States. So, so everybody want to sit and talk to you like, wow, what's it like, this, that, and the third, blah, 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 So Catherine came outside and she said, Toriano, you want to know what I learned in school today? I said, what's that, Catherine? She said, well, today I learned, my teacher told me that the Moors are the original people of the Americas and that they own the land and that Atlantis was real. My mouth fell on the floor. Well, on the ground, because I was sitting outside.
Right. Hear that outside of America.
My mouth fell on the ground. You hear me?
I do.
So when I finally got back to the state, I said, I got to find how this ties in, you know, because I knew the tribes, of course, in my veins, like I said, on my mother's side of the family, mother's lineage, Apache and Choctaw, mother's father's side of the lineage, Ushashaktu, what they call Washita and Cherokee, or Aniyamu Salagi, and on my father's side of the family, Chickasaw Choctaw. I said, I got to find out how this thing connects, because for me to be thousands of miles away and to hear this child, man, when I went down there, we weren't talking anything about no more.
Right.
But, you know, I went down there on spiritual business. I was getting initiated.
And got the
but for me to hear that, it was good for me to hear that at that time.
It was the most spiritual thing you could hear, right?
Exactly. But see, here's the thing. It still didn't hit me when I was in the Dominican Republic. The people were so nice and friendly, they kept calling me Moreno. They kept calling me Saludo Moreno. Saludo Moreno. You know.
Right.
I say, you know, Saludo Papa. It was an elder. I say Saludo Papa. You know, say, you know, it was the elder father. I say Saludo Papa. Or it was an elder woman. Saludo Mama. You know, that means greetings. But they kept calling me Moreno. They never said Negro.
Right. Right.
They never called me Negro. They kept calling me Moreno. And it still didn't register in my mind at the time that they were calling me Moor. You know? So when I got back, I said I did some intense studying, and I ran into a brother by the name of Heru Ranisiel. And he was the first one that made it click somewhat. He made it click a lot. That's when the things came together about how the Moors came over here and this is part of the empire. I say he made it click around about 80 to 85%. That last 15% that really put the capstone on the pyramid was Prince Uriel Bay. But by that time, I'd already been studying law. I took constitutional law in high school. I had a 96 GPA. You know, I graduated, man, top 5% of my graduating class, 8 out of 220. You know, I ain't bragging, but a lot of people always said I was a smart motherfucker.
Right.
You know,
Damn right.
So school, math, science, all that shit, that's nothing to me. History, law, that's nothing to me. I got a photostatic memory.
Right.
And I think fast. So I can put this shit together.
I can dig it.
Prince Uriel Bay made it click when I had already started going deeper into the law, and I was studying Use Sanguinus and Use Soli. And I was also reading the Bible. And when I put two and two together with what he was saying versus the Boring Stone versus Deuteronomy, which is the second law. Now, Brother Nehessu can tell you that because he knows, he's well versed in the Bible. I think Leviticus is the first law, Deuteronomy is the second law.
Right.
Okay. And in Proverbs, when I started looking at these landmarks and the claim and how it works with land and adverse possession and all that, I said, oh, snap. I said, the forebears of who we call the Moors today do own the land. They made the first lawful claim. That's when the distinguishing principles of Use Sanguinus, via my bloodlines of my family, and since then, I've even gone past that. I've gotten even deeper into my genetic lineage long before the tribes even had names.
So
that's for another story.
Yeah, let me ask you.
You know,
let me ask you a question. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, because our technical engineer over here, Steph, shout out Steph. She was over here pulling up in your OneDrive some of your genetics, and it said that you have an L group that it shows African over there. Why? How are we connecting genetically using 23andMe and these genetic studies to our and claiming that we're indigenous to America when some of these genetic test studies are not saying that?
Okay, good question. Once again, if you know about autosomal, and you know about what they call ancestry informative markers,
Yes.
okay, I'll use the example. There's a sister named Dr. Fatu's daughter. We conversate a lot on Facebook. She's half Ghanaian and half her mother's indigenous, okay? So she has several of her relatives from her mother's side take DNA tests. None of them showed any strong matches to any of the countries in Africa, okay? When she took hers, her father's half Ghanaian. The only country that lit up, and she didn't give these people any information on her background, was Ghana. Are you hearing what I'm telling you?
It's from Ghana. So
No, did you hear what I just said?
that they try to say that her matrilineal is from Ghana, when in fact her mother.
No. Her matrilineal is from here.
Her
patrilineal is from Ghana.
Okay, her patrilineal is from Ghana, and her matrilineal is
Yes.
from here. And what? Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was the only country that lit up. All 5 of the dots lit up for strength match. Was Ghana. Okay? On her matrilineal side, her mother's side of the family, her cousins, several of them took the test. None of the countries lit up. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah. They don't have genetic markers for that. They don't have any genetic tests for that. Or
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, what you're looking at is what's called in genetics. Once again, this is where people that try to talk about DNA but haven't done in-depth studies should be quiet. Identity by state and identity by descent. Identity by descent is not the same as identity by state. Identity by state means that you may share similar markers, but yet you've been separated for so long that what happens is, through what they call genetic drift, you create your own genetically distinct population of people.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. In genetics, you have 2 types of DNA. Well, actually, you got several others. You got molecular, but we're just going to talk about 2 types.
Right. The types that you can trace.
You have single nucleotide polymorphisms, which is known as slow-changing DNA, and you have short tandem repeat, which is known as fast-changing DNA. So, for your single nucleotide polymorphism to show similarities but not the same, how long have you been separated as a people? To where the markers don't even come up.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Brother, a long time.
It's got to be a long time. Man, you saying long scientific words. It's most definitely a long time. I don't know how long it would, I don't know this area very well.
Now, that's number 1. And number 2, I want you to think about this. If you go and watch the interview between Nightwolf and Brother Farrakhan, and Nightwolf is saying, he told Farrakhan, brother, if you wasn't walking to a mob and you put your hands on the first person in the row, the third person in the row, the fifth person in the row, he said, do you know that you laying your hands on a Native American?
Yes.
Hold on, let me finish. Because I'm going somewhere with this. Farrakhan says, I believe. Night Wolf says, brother, only 8% of the slaves, this is what he says, were ever brought to North America. He said, after that, he said, I don't think that every black person we see is African American. He said, I think they got the numbers wrong. Okay, if it's 8%, what does that tell you? 92% of us was already here. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the funny part about it. Let's go to Brother Tyrone Genetics database. And I've seen a lot of the tests from his database. 92% of us hover around Native American markers. 88% of us hover around Southeast Asian markers, which would be the Melanesians, the Papuans, the Indonesians, the Philippines, the Southeast Asians. Are you understanding what I'm telling you?
Yes, I am.
Don't those numbers sound eerily similar to what Brother Nightwolf said?
Mm-hmm. It sure does.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. I got to give shots out to Canaan Lamb Moore's. Cujo had a show where he had Farrakhan on, and the brother addressed Farrakhan and say, who was Elijah's forerunners, and Farrakhan straight up said it was Drew Ali from the beginning. So, you know what I mean? And Cujo was, kind of questioning him like, come on now, brother, if you know we're indigenous, man, come on. We can't be continuing to push this social political paradigm of being black. And if you're doing that, what's that agenda?
Okay, now let me take you somewhere else. Most of the Melanesians and the Southeast Asians, some of them made it further inland to the south, but not all of them. Most of them hovered around the West Coast.
Okay.
How is it that most of my lineage comes from Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee? That's where most of my lineage comes from. Through my ancestry tracing of records, old records.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell am I doing with Southeast Asian and Melanesian and Papuan and Melano-Polynesian DNA in me when most of them hovered around the West Coast if we came over as slaves, and we know that slaves were a highly controlled stock?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
How did they make it to the West Coast producing and come back to the plantation?
Man.
Let's be real.
Come on.
That meant that we was already over here for thousands of years.
Wow.
Before even the Southeast Asians came over, and we mixed to where it became a common genetically mixed population that bred amongst themselves, carrying both pools of DNA.
Wow.
Now,
that's deep.
Now, let's go to the next one.
Uh-oh.
Haplogroup L1C is my maternal lineage, specifically L1C1D.
Yeah, we saw that up on the screen.
I have the genetic reports on L1C1D for so-called African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
They say about a third, in the genetic databases that they have, about one-third, over one-third. It's over one-third. They didn't say up to what. They just said over one-third. So that could be 40%. It could be 50%. Over a third of the L1Cs belong to African Americans in the pool, in the genetic database. And it says few of them show any connections with continental Africans, the L1C of Africans. And it has high internal diversity. And they said that it's about 60,000 years old. 60,000 years old here in the Americas? Don't that sound eerily similar to the Topper site of 51,300 years ago in South Carolina?
Wow. Yeah. Damn. There's a lot of history I'm not familiar with that you're breaking down in the Americas, man.
So I don't pay these people no mind. Why?
Damn.
Because most of them are unlettered. They're unlettered. Learn how to read, then come talk to me.
Right. So how can we
how can we? Okay, now we have these last question before we get out of here, my brother, and then how can we tie our histories together since we come from a starting point as a people, and it's like you said, it was cultural, social, it's cultural, ethnic backgrounds that we have, and how we associate things. How can we, with our current political state, got the Hebrew Israelites, you got the Moors, you got, all, even within that, they have different factions, and black people, RBGBs, red, black, and green, that is. How can we, in a way, tie those individuals into one, and to see that these Hebrew Israelites, you're Canaanite, you're Moors, and the Commetans, we're all Commetans, we're all Moors. How can we tie that together?
Listen, man. I see where you're going with it.
I'm trying to bring.
You ain't got to drag it out that long.
Okay.
What you need to do is this right here. It's simple.
Simple.
We live under contract law. Okay.
Yes.
You contract yourself into servitude or slavery, and you can get out of it with the law. If we know that Morocco, even Morocco in the East, because why? They were founded by the Carthaginian Empire. Morocco in the East was the name of the land underneath the church. I didn't get a chance to go into the church.
Oh, you didn't.
You know what I'm saying? In Kukaponzi Forest, Connecticut. I've been in that forest. Very beautiful. Kukaponzi Forest, Connecticut. The church, the name of the land is Osku Shamal, known as the continent lying beyond the sunset. If we know that these people, follow where I'm going with this, have a contract with the United States, it doesn't matter if it's the Kingdom of Morocco. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because the landmarks are still there. Go and read your Bible, people. Drew Ali told you, don't throw away your Bible. Duh.
My circle.
The law for the landmarks is in there.
Yeah.
Then what you do is you unite as one under Yus Soli. You unite as one under Yus Soli. We can work out the differences later amongst ourselves, but against this colonial oppressor, you unite as one under Yus Soli, and the contract is already there. Now, whether we want to be Pa Monkey, whether we want to be Lenape or Narragansett or Mohegan Pequot, I've even built with those people. I used to work on their reservations. The Pequots up in Connecticut. Done master build with them before, too. When I was in the military, whether you want to be Crow, whether you want to be, Lakota, whether you want to be Ute, whether you want to be Arapaho, whether you want to be Ladene, Inde, Apache, or Choctaw, Chickasaw, Seminole, whatever. We'll work those things out amongst ourselves. But for this common oppressor, unite underneath Yus Soli and enforce the contract. That's the reason why people are getting their behinds kicked, because you've taken on these titles and you made contracts under these titles.
And these people like to have an adjective to describe themselves, where they describe themselves as indigenous. Well, we describe ourselves because these people like labels, and you're speaking thousands of your light years ahead of most common folk and what you're talking about. And the last question: what would we consider ourselves as? Indigenous? Within the Jusoli, using the Jasanguinous bloodline to identify who we are, and using the contracts.
Brother, listen to me. Jusoli, the contract, we are Moors.
There we
We're
go.
born in the dominions of the empire.
There we go.
Now, when it comes to you sanguinous, now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of that blood, that DNA, that genetics. Who was here first? And first in time is first in line.
There we go.
We'll work out those differences amongst ourselves.
Yes. Brother Tyrone is also your geneticist, and you can find his analysis under Toriano ObaShango-El's 11-step process, his process that he has there available for individuals to engage in the contracts and to be able to engage in a way. And through the process, you'll get your genetics done. And Brother Tyrone will be able to break that stuff down. And you have an understanding also about the Duff-and-Null effect and how they use that to try to misnomer you as Africans and African Americans as well.
Brother ObaShango, you know, man, I always love sitting at your feet and listening to you talk because I always have to rewind the videos and try to buy the books that you've already been through, and you've been places to see all this stuff, man. And Jamie, I really appreciate you providing the studio and the time and the space. Congratulations on your movies, man. But I'm really grateful for the time that you came and you dedicated to our community. You know what I'm saying, Brother ObaShango, I really appreciate your time, brother, and your clarity.
Not a problem, family. I appreciate you having me. You know, like I said, you know, a lot of information these people can go and find, man. You know, ObaShango-El.com. I got videos. Now this video here, I'll be adding this video to the website. I mean the YouTube section on the site.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people just got to study, man. A lot of these people, they not going back far enough in history.
No, they're
Most
not.
of these people, man. Most of these people can't go back, man. That ancient in time, because now what happens is you're beyond the names of the tribe, so you're stuck unless you go into that blood and that genetics and that autosomal and that Y and that mitochondrial, and also, man, the fast changing DNA, slow changing DNA, and there's other aspects of the DNA that I'm still learning. You know what I'm saying? And I give big shout out to my teacher, man, Brother Tyrone Cannon.
Yes.
You know, so you know when you're dealing with land, you know, these people, man, they you know, you got claim and proof of claim. That's it. That's it. And he who makes the claim has the burden of proof. That's the law.
Hey, that's USC's. That's also the USC's, baby. So you can even take a statutory.
Do you have any social media that people could follow and maybe get a daily word from you or something like that? Something to think about?
No, brother. I pretty much. I mean, I got a Twitter account. I ain't been on that thing in probably over a year, man. I don't really do the social media like that. You know, I just be on every now and then. I'm on my Facebook page. I post a little bit, Toriano ObaShango-El, but you know, I've been doing this thing for so long now, man, that I don't really have time to waste off in that cyber world now.
Yeah.
I'm on to more important things, man, more pressing issues at hand.
And one of those things is a book, right? Is we're publishing one of your books that we're going to get a book going here. Is that correct? You have a book coming out?
Yes. We're looking at publishing the book. You know, coming soon to Kraken.
The Kraken.
You know, a beast released in Admiralty. So
yes.
And this, like I said, man, I know a lot of people may take my tone as harsh, but I mean well. But you know what? I'm a no nonsense, no bullshit type of dude.
Tone is perfect.
I'm going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw, and I'm going to give you the truth. Now, if it's a bitter pill for you to swallow, that's not my problem.
Not my problem.
Maybe you need to do some self-evaluation to find out why you can't swallow it. But if it's the truth, it's the truth.
You got to get out your feelings. Get out your feelings. Get out your feelings. You got to get out your feelings.
Yeah. You know, that's just what it is.
Yeah, and that's how you. That's. I ain't gonna lie, man. You know what I mean? And you know, I've been with you. I've been studying under you for a little bit. You know, for some time now. Not as many as others. And you pulled me. You know, you kicked my butt all the way through this. And you know, and that tone with me never made me emotionally sad or scared. What it made me do is realize, you know, now is the time to man up. It's a time to man up and handle something. If you have an emotional response to something, that's something wrong with your conditioning, because emotional response is a conditional response from something in your past. So you need to man up, because this world's got you sissified, and you're dealing with manly matters. You know, you can't be afraid of a conflict trying to make peace all the time. These are manly matters. And if you're afraid of a conflict, you know what I'm saying, you need to stay at home and protect the women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right, man. This right here, man, you know what I'm saying? This movement that we doing, man, is for our land, and you can't be no French poodle, man. You got to come from Presa Canario, Rottweiler, you know, German Shepherd, Barbell stock. You know what I'm saying? Pit Bull stock. You ain't from that stock, man. Sit your ass on the porch. We ain't got time to be playing, man. You know, and I see a lot of these people call themselves Indians and this, that, and the third, and trying to show out and clown Moors, but here's one thing they won't do. Take a DNA test and find out what's really lurking in your background. Because the only thing you're going to find out is that you beefing over a title.
An ideology, huh?
Yeah, and same with the Kemetic, same with the Hebrew Israelite. Get into the science of it. Because other than that, man, you ain't doing nothing but bumping your Wrigley. You just bumping your gum.
Man. Man, you gotta reach. I hope you get a chance, to hook Tyrone and you up to Clyde Winters, because I've been, ever since I came across you, man, I've been emailing him. I hit Dr. Cobb up a couple of times, and I see a change in Clyde Winters. Because I gave him your website. I see a change in some of his genetic reports, but nonetheless, man, I hope these brothers that are out there putting out a lot of literature start listening to some of these brothers that are, I'm not gonna call you guys call us street scholars, but listen to the brothers who are scholars within the divine right, my brother, because man, you you kicked my butt through some things that made me advanced in the game, and I know that I say things that are way advanced around my circle. I can't imagine, the things you have to deal with, and how how many times you had to take some deep breaths, because brother, you're light years ahead of the game, my man. And and I appreciate the sacrifice.
Man, not a problem. Thank you, brother. Like scripture say, study to show yourself approved, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
if
sir.
you don't, you destroy it for lack of knowledge.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Don't blame the game, blame yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it is, man.
All praises to the Most High for that one, because it ain't you, man. That's the spirit the spirit that you channel, man. Because I think that's very good, important. People have got to get off that weed, get off that drink. You know what I mean? Or that's how James, whatever. But either way, my point being, I don't mean to put that thing out there like that. I mean, get your mind right so that you could channel the spirit. And even though something comes across that you're not familiar with, don't react emotionally to it. Take some time, meditate on that stuff, because the truth, like Tyrone has all this. ObaShango has all this stuff on his OneDrive, and you can look and information they're gonna hide from a Negro is in a book, and God's gonna hide within self. And I know that you practice a lot of these ancient spiritual systems, the Wakanda, the Native American spiritual systems, to be able to receive this spirit, man. And I just appreciate you for being a vessel, my brother. And with that said, is there anything else you would like to add, Jamie?
Nah, man. All Between Us is in stores now at Walmart, on Amazon live stream, Hulu. Click All Between Us, starring Tiffany Haddish and Brian Hooks. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining me. I'll be hitting you up later, T.O.
All right, then. Sounds good. Peace and love.
Ashe.
Let me first and foremost inform everybody that I need to rise, raise my thoughts to infinite wisdom. You feel me? Raise my thoughts to infinite wisdom. If I talk about something going on in the wannabe conscious community, I'm going to bring you